Well, good morning. This is going to actually be the second video for the 21st, and I'm going to probably post it immediately when I'm done because I will be creating another video later on this afternoon with the ambassador, Jace, and Michael, I believe, based on the meeting that we had with the Red Dragon yesterday. In any case, the title for this video is this: Is getting out of slavery really as easy as some claim? As you might imagine, I am getting lots of advice, which I appreciate. Even though people approach the issues I face from many vantage points, I get to weigh them all and feel what may be best for me at this time. I have no illusion, as some seem to have, that getting really free is an easy process. If it were, we would have accomplished it a long time ago. Since I became aware of the horrific corruptness of governments, especially the one in the country in which I live, which I didn't realize then, but I learned as I learned many things, is a corporate government. It isn't even a nation. I didn't know that in 2001 after 9/11, when I realized the depths that our government goes to commit crimes against its own people, and of course the people of the entire world. The United States is the single most prolific terrorist nation on earth. You heard me right, for those of you that might be hearing me for the first time. We interfere in everyone's business, and we think that we have the right to tell others how to live, what to do, and to dictate their government structure, how they are able to be attached to the monetary system of the world or not attached to the monetary system of the world, etc. And they have no qualms about killing leaders, poisoning the people with vaccinations and with other handouts that are not made to liberate, but made to further enslave and make the minds of the people desperate so that they cannot even see a way to be free. Human slavery abounds on the earth, and the United States is the military slave master of the world, just as the Bank of England, or the Crown, or the City of London, I should say, or the Crown, are the financial terrorists of the world, with a system of admiralty law that absolutely strips people of their natural rights and enslaves the entire planet. And then, of course, the Vatican, which sits at the top of all the world religions, ruling by a process of separation, by a process of fear, by a process of guilt. It's all a manipulative coercion of our minds that operates even at the subconscious level with belief systems that we don't even realize we're imprisoned by. I will be sharing a little bit in the video that I will make later on about the meeting with the Red Dragon yesterday. Once again, it was a Bible study. Once again, there were things that raise issues in me, for me, and most importantly of all, we actually did something that I thought was extremely worthwhile, as each of us said prayers of repentance, not necessarily only on our own behalf, but on behalf of the religions that we represent. The Red Dragon, coming from China, grew up as a Buddhist, but with Taoist and Confucian and even Hindu influences. And others, were Catholic, and one of the people that participated was a knight, if you will, the um, what do you call them, the knights that led the Crusades during the Middle Ages, when the Pope ordered the Crusades against Islam and went to Jerusalem. The Knights Templar. Well, there's a knighthood that's sort of like a religion, and that's sort of like the occult, mystery school, Illuminati type of thing, of the hidden elite that rule overtly or covertly, whichever is most effective, covertly if possible, overtly if necessary. But there was repentance. And I don't know, I can't speak for what anyone else felt, but what I felt was a genuine repentance for my dogmatic Christianity that I grew up in, that thought that it was the only one that was right and it was the only way. And they based this on the Bible, which is the worst idolatry that's ever happened, when people idolize books and don't realize that it's the wisdom in the books that we need to take. But if we create it as a law book, and if we use it to separate and to make people feel guilty, or to make people feel that nothing is real or nothing really matters in this world, and it's the other world that counts, all of these things have been used to enslave humanity. Principles that have been applied, that certain people are the elite and have the right to rule and the right to control others. Nobody has that right. And the idea that there are two gods on the planet, the God that created everything, but then the greater God that actually rules the world, the God of money, the God of mammon, the God of the lie, Lucifer, if you will, that he's the God of this world. And that's biblical. Okay, that's what is taught in religions, especially Abrahamic religions. Yeah, Jewish, Christian, Islam. I don't know as much about the Eastern religions because I haven't studied them in as much detail. But I do know it's true of the Western religions that were influenced and are still influenced by the Vatican. This is the philosophical and psychological aspect of humanity that is the Antichrist, that enslaves us, that is the beast, together with DC and City of London, New York City, which is really connected. They are connected cities, I'm sorry. But the stock market and everything else in Wall Street and the Crown are tightly connected, as if they are one, even though the Atlantic Ocean separates them. They are really one entity. And the DC is the military arm to enforce the will of this elite establishment. And I don't want to be part, and I want to make it clear, I don't want to be part of any elite establishment, spiritual or otherwise. I don't care for titles. I don't want to be anybody's ruler. But I do want to be able to advise as best I can on what we need to do to get out of slavery, because we are all enslaved, and I side with the slaves. Now, I had a call from one of my friends who is very much into Kate of Gaia, wanted me to listen last night to the 3-hour podcast, which I may catch as much of it as I can as soon as I can, but I don't usually have 3-hour blocks of time that I can sit aside and just listen to something. I just don't have that with all of the communication that I have with various people, especially the ambassador and people in the family. I don't have the time that I once had to do the in-depth study that I once did. But I want to say this. I mean, I'm hearing her vehemently say, Ron, we're winning. We're going to turn the court system on its head in October. It's going to happen in October. It's my birthday when you have to appear before court, and you're going to keep your house. Well, I probably will. But will I do it by the way that Kate of Gaia recommends? Divorcing myself from the name? If I did that, here's what I believe would happen. If I just went in there as a sovereign and went went through all the sovereign things that I've learned as to the best of my ability, what they would do is they would just simply do what they want to do. They would come and they would try to take my house, and I would stand up to them because I will not give up my house easily. I will let them kill me if that's what needs to be, but I will not voluntarily ever give up my house because somebody tells me to. I may voluntarily give it up at some point when I feel it's the best thing for me to do at that time, but not because somebody else told me I have to. I have done many things throughout my life to try to get out of the system, get out of the slavery. It doesn't work. I don't care what remedy I've tried, as long as the courts and the police work hand in hand with each other, as long as the government provides a safety net and an umbrella for people to commit crimes against other people. And the governments are the biggest crime lords on the planet, by the way. They are the biggest terrorists, biggest crime lords. They are racketeers. And they do it because they think that they have the right, the superiority to rule over others. And even people that are spiritually awake sometimes get the idea that they have a superiority to others and have the right to tell others, well, you're too ignorant to be blessed. You're too whatever. You're not whatever you're supposed to be. You have fear. And so if you have fear, you're inferior. If you have if you're not prospering, if you're not prosperous, you're obviously doing something wrong. If you have things that are going bad in your life, you're obviously not what you think you are, because there's bad things happening to you. And it's because of your consciousness that these things are happening. Well, I'll tell you the truth. I think that's bullshit. Because there are times that I knew that things were okay, that I had won the thing with my house, that I knew. I didn't doubt, and yet they keep trying to take my house. Why? Because getting out of slavery requires the removal, not what we do individually. That's the thing that really irks me. And I believed it for so long, that people think that, well, I can develop a language or a way of behaving that makes me a sovereign and allows me to be free, while everybody else remains enslaved. I don't want freedom just for me. Do you hear me? I don't want privileges just for me. I don't want power or authority just for me. I don't want blessings just for me. I want it for the whole human family, the entire prodigal son of God. And I do not separate humanity into believers and non-believers. I do not separate humanity into the enlightened and the not enlightened. I see humanity as my brothers and sisters. I see humanity as children of one God, one Creator, who have been enslaved by a false God who rules by lies and deception and force. Yes, that God, that lesser God, is what I stand opposed to. And what I stand aligned with is my image of a God who is inclusive, who doesn't draw circles to keep people out, as our religions teach us that God may do. That is still the false God. That is still the Lucifer. The God that draws circles that leave other people out is not a God of love. A God of love does not say, well, I will save you if you believe me. Then there's no free will. Then there's no free will. We have to be able to be free to speak our minds, to explore our lives, And as I've said so many times, our freedom ends where the next person's freedom begins. The only thing that's punishable in all of creation, as I see it, is doing harm and violating the free will of another being, especially another being. I mean, some people go so far as to say, well, you can't eat meat because they're animals. Well, I don't go that far. I don't go that far, and some people would even say you can't eat plants because plants are also a level of consciousness. Well, everything is a level of consciousness, even minerals. There is nothing made that was not made by the creator of all that is, who is all that is, who is in all that is. But I cannot lord it over any other human being. The only rational to me, the only rational thing that I can do, the only responsibility that I have is when I see someone being hurt, to do my best to raise my voice and stop the abuse. That's all that I can do. And as a society, we have the right to stop the abuse of others. And I trust that we will find a way out of our slavery. But it's going to be not by anything individuals do alone that makes them alone free. It's going to be by removing the system that allows the enslavement of others and gets away with it. Anything short of that is not a war on ignorance, is not a war on financial tyranny, is not a war on human slavery. We must eliminate that which allows the injustices to not only continue, but to proliferate on the planet. I seek something for myself that will liberate me because I want to be left alone. But I also want humanity to be left alone to grow and explore and to become the best humans we can be as children of the living God. Thank you for listening. Namaste.